Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about Dracula from 1931. I've spoken about Dracula before in a previous video years ago, but now I'm going to focus on pretty unbelievable facts about the movie that you didn't know. Let's begin right away talking about how this film is the one that started the horror genre in Hollywood. Now let's look at the character of Renfield, played by Dwight Frye, who was exceptional in this film. Unfortunately, I think you could say that he was too good. He became typecast, and he found himself restricted to playing only a certain type of character. This type of character was always jittery, eccentric, and he had this manic edge to him, and unfortunately he couldn't get other type roles. Now remember that this film is from the 1930s, so what would be something that would be censored at the time? Two have to do with deaths. Now Renfield's scream as he's being killed, that was removed originally from the movie because it was thought, even though it went off camera and it wasn't seen, it was a little too grotesque for a film even at that time. Same thing when Dracula, when the stake is driven through his heart, his moan was removed, but later the audio deletions were restored, so now you can see them if you watch the present version of the film. Now, it's a normal human action to blink your eyes. It's pretty much in your subconscious. You don't really control it if you don't think about it, but if you look at the entire movie of Dracula from beginning to end, Count Dracula never blinks his eyes once, and that's of course on purpose. This effect enhances the fact that he is an undead, kind of otherworldly character, and it creates this aura around him that's truly creepy. And similarly, what adds to the aura of the film is the fact that there's no music throughout the film. They thought it would be strange, since it was 1931, to just have music going on in the background. Remember, the silent era had ended and the era of sound had just started. And so there was no real concept of having music in the background during scenes, so they thought that's kind of weird. So there's no reason to have music. It wasn't a concept. And so if you look at this movie, it's really creepy because there's a lot of moments of silence, even though when they're walking around, there's appearance of Dracula. It's truly creepy, and it makes this film super unique, and probably there's not going to be any type of aura in any future movie like it. Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula, was not from the United States, and so many had the myth, many had the improper idea that he could not speak English very well, that he had that strong accent. And so many people thought incorrectly that he had to learn his lines phonetically, which is not true. When he spoke English, he spoke actually very well, especially during the time that this movie was filmed. You may not have known that Bela Lugosi was a method actor, and this was pretty important to how the eventual film came to being, because none of the cast members really took this movie seriously except for Bela. They noticed that he would stroll around up and down the set in between takes with his cloak wrapped around him, and he would say, "I am Dracula," over and over and over again. But this was his way of psyching himself up and building up his role, staying in character, and so forth, and he was a professional throughout the whole filming process. Others, of course, weren't the same. Now, many people accused him of being a little bit of a wacko and confusing real life with his role, but his son, as well as other reporters, said this is absolutely not true. He was a professional, and when the camera was off, he stopped filming. He was a normal person. You could also say that this movie was the beginning of Universal and other movie studios reusing the sets. That's because they were expensive to make, and once you maybe finish a film, move things around just a little bit, which doesn't take that much work, you could save money and essentially reuse those same sets for other productions. And Universal did this over the decade of the 30s and used this set, that is the Transylvania Castle, for many, many years. Now, have you noticed all those spiderwebs that you could see throughout Dracula's castle? Were those real? Well, they were not real spiderwebs. They were easily used, what they would do was use a special gun that would shoot out rubber cement. It's a rotary type gun, and it would spray and add this effect to make it look like there were spiderwebs. They would even do this up into the 60s for TV shows like The Munsters, so it was pretty popular to do this and pretty awesome. It looks really good on camera. And some of you may or may not know that there was a Spanish language version of Dracula. Now that film also came out in 1931. How did they accomplish this? Well, they filmed the English speaking version in the day, and at night they finished the Spanish one. They used the same set with Spanish speaking actors, but of course Bela was in and this was a smart and intelligent way that they could essentially film all day throughout the night, use the same sets, and it wouldn't be super expensive. And they killed essentially 2 birds with 1 stone. So if you like the film Dracula, let me know in the comments below your favorite scene from the movie and your favorite fact that I presented here. I'd love to see your thoughts. Thank you so much for the support as always. Don't forget to stay positive and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all my patron supporters, especially my diamond tier patrons: Joanna R, Citizen Kane 359, Sally N, Daniel B, Jerry D, and Vito L. If you want to be on this list, make sure to check the link in the description, and thanks to all who support.